Many of you now are fairly far along on your pop-up shop design, but none of your designs look like they're floating yet, and we want to fix that. So to start out with, do you have your water modeled in? If you don't, you want to get that modeled in quickly. So that basically is just going to be a floor at your sea level. So you can create a floor called sea level, and then go over to your sea level. You go to architecture, and then floor. You make a giant circle just so that anywhere you get a view from, it really looks like it's covered in water. And then here, go to edit type. Under structure, you want to change the structure so that it's water. So under material, you're going to click and you're going to make a new material. So you're going to create new material. And then over here, we're going to select an image that looks like water. So I'm going to go just to the internet generally, look for water texture. I'm going to select one of these. So maybe I'll look at this one. I'm going to right click, save image as, and it should let me save it. If it doesn't, I can always use the snipping tool to get a snip of it. And then I'm going to go back to Revit where it says image here under appearance. I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to find that image I downloaded. So mine should be under downloads. And hit OK. I want to go back into that one more time, so I'm going to click on the three dots. And then when I'm here, I want to click on where it says image, and I want to set the size. So right now that whole thing's only 1 foot by 1 foot. I want to make it much bigger so that it actually is about the size that would be in real life. So I'm going to come down to sample size, and I'm going to make that maybe 30 feet by 30 feet, and then hit done. And then apply and hit OK. Hit OK again, hit OK again, hit my green check mark. And now when I go to my 3D view, I should be able to see my water. You'll notice that because my texture is not seamless, it kind of looks a little funky. For our purposes, I'm probably just going to make my texture really big so that I don't have that problem. So I'm going to go back into edit type, back to edit my structure, back to edit my material, click on the image of my water, and then here I'm going to make the sample size like 300 feet by 300 feet. So it'll look a little pixelated, but we're not doing anything super high res here. So it's fine for what we're doing. And hit done, hit apply. Okay, okay, okay. So that still looks pretty funky. I think I probably should just pick a different water image. I'm going to leave this for now though. So next thing is kind of looking at doing the floats themselves. And first I want to have a little dock. So what do floats look like, right? So two examples. This one is Moss's floating house. You can see here that there's like two kind of long barrels that hold air underneath of the water level. And when you actually see the house, you don't really see those, right? There's like a dock area, and then the floats are down in here. Right, so they look pretty minimal, but then they are in fact there under the water when you look at the section. This is the Makoko Floating School. So in this one, they're a little bit more visible. There's really this whole platform of rain barrels that's holding up the structure, and you can see how they built that up here. And then from that platform, they built the rest of the school. Now going back into Revit, I want to start off giving myself a little walkway around my building so you don't step out straight into the water. So I'm going to my level 1 plan. Here I'm going to click on floor. I'm going to take my boundary line and I'm going to draw right next to my building. I'm going to give myself 5 feet out from my building so that it's a proper walkway. You want to always give about 5 feet for walkways for people to be able to walk and to be able to turn around. So here I want to change my floor. I'm going to do the wood joist 10-inch wood finish and hit check mark. So now if I look in 3D, you can see I have my little area that people can walk onto. If you'd like, you can also add a ramp here that would help them get up to the top dock, or like a little bridge. So if I go back to level 1, to do that, I would add another floor. And I can make it, I don't know, 4 feet wide, 5 feet wide. Maybe I'll do a 4 foot wide. I'm going to come out 20 feet. Completing that rectangle. Now I want to set the slope. So I'm going to put in a slope arrow, starting here, going to here. And I'm going to tell it that I want the height offset at the tail is going to be 0 feet. And the height offset at the head, I'm going to do 1 foot. And then hit apply and hit the green check. And so now when I look in 3D, I have this little ramp and it's pretty subtle. So if I draw a section through there, go to view, section, you can see that kind of slope there. I could probably make it a little bit steeper. You don't want to go any steeper than 1/12, so 1 foot down for every 12 foot of distance. But I'll leave that for right now. And I guess the last thing to make that realistic is you might want to have some kind of a railing on certain parts of it so that people don't fall off. So if I wanted to put on a railing, I would go to architecture, railing, and I can just draw in wherever I have that railing happening. And I can change the kind here to be, they have a few different types in there. I'm going to stick with guardrail rectangular and hit the green check. So now when I look, I have a little railing there. You don't necessarily have to put a railing on these because they do start to really distract from the view, but that's how you would put on a railing if you would like one. Okay, so now for the floats themselves, I'm going to go back to level 1. I'm going to go to add in, I'm going to add in a reference plane. So I'm going to go to architecture, reference plane over here, and draw one in. I need to name it, so I'm going to call this reference plane floats. Okay. And now I'm going to do something called a model in place family. So a model in place family is something you do, or model in place component is something you do when you have an unusual shape or something that just isn't in the regular Revit catalog. So I need to be able to see the side here. So I'm going to double click on my side view so I can see what I'm doing. And then also I want to put on my crop region, and I'm going to bring it down so I can see the water level here. All right, so now I'm going to go to architecture, component, model in place. And here I'm going to change this to just generic models. Hit OK. And I'm going to call this floats and hit OK. Here I'm going to grab under create extrusion. It says specify a new work plane. I'm going to pick my work plane and I'm going to use the reference plane for floats and hit OK. And then here I'm going to create some cylinders to represent my floats. So I'm going to grab under draw my circle. I'm going to start here and go, so I'm starting at the sea level line and then coming up to the bottom of that floor line. Then I'm going to copy this over, so it's CO for copy, And I'm going to bring this over, CO. And if I have this one selected and do CO, I can click on the first one, then click on the next one, and kind of use that as my reference to keep the spacing somewhat even. Okay, so that's enough for the whole thing. I'm going to select them and just move them over a tiny bit so that they look centered. And then here, I'm going to set my extrusion end to be 3 feet to start and hit the green check. Then when I go into my sea level plan, I can see this arrow. I'm going to move this out until I get to the end here so that I know the extrusion goes the whole way of my platform. Now when I look in 3D, I can see those. I might want to change the color of those. So to do that, I would select these. And then over here under my properties panel, I can change the material. So I'm going to click on the 3 dots. And then I'm going to make a new material here. And for this one, I'm just going to change the color. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make my color kind of a bright blue. Hit OK, hit OK. Oh, and I don't see anything yet. So what did I do wrong? Let's see. So I have the color. Shading. So under shading, I'm going to click on use render appearance and hit apply and see if that does it. Yeah, and so then that works. So I think I'm just not showing textures here yet. So if I change this to textures, that should now work. Okay, so hit finish model and now you have your floats.